This is Joe Biden, the President of the United States. Recently, Biden hosted a Juneteenth event at the White House, and honestly, it couldn't have been more awkward.
Now, I could go old school and say, clap your hands, everybody. And everybody, clap your hands to the people on this side. Clap your hands to the people right here. Clap your hands to the people up top. Clap your hands. Watch this.
And if this seems familiar to you, it is. You're probably recalling this moment from last year when Biden visited a black church and acted like he'd never seen black people before. So instead of being a commanding figure at his own White House event, no less, Joe Biden looks like he accidentally wandered into a black barbecue and is afraid to leave because he doesn't want to look like he's a racist.
Today's a new day, but there is no sunshine.
Come on, I gotta see you.
Nothing but clouds, and it's dark in my heart, and it feels like a cold night.
It's Juneteenth, y'all.
The leader of the free world, America.
Today's a new day,
I need to see your party.
but where are my blue skies?
I need to see the black.
But these awkward moments were overshadowed by a slurring, divisive speech by the President-in-Chief himself.
But let's be clear, they're old ghosts in new garments trying to take us back. Well, there are. Taking away your freedoms, making it harder for black people to vote. Or have your vote counted.
Sure, let's celebrate Juneteenth by telling black people that they're victims and that Republicans are trying to keep people of color from voting.
She knew so long as she was denied, our freedom can never be secured.
Say what you want about Donald Trump, but at least he can say words clearly, unlike Joe Biden.
Last month, I awarded Meg Rivers the Presidential Medal of Freedom, our nation's highest civilian honor, posthumously.
What?
Posthumously.
Posthumously.
Posthumously. I'm proud to finally award our highest military recognition, the Medal of Honor, to each of you, one posthumously. At the start of this new year, I signed the posthumously awarding who will be receiving this medal posthumously. I posthumously awarded Meg Rivers the Presidential Medal of Freedom.
We're promoting her posthumously to sergeant.
Are being awarded the medals posthumously. Last month, I awarded Steve Jobs Presidential Medal of Freedom posthumously. That's what someone we still miss so much, who you honored posthumously, stood for. Gwen Ifill. You know.
Anyway, the morning after the Juneteenth event, Joe Biden's son Hunter Biden was found guilty on 3 federal firearms-related felonies, which is weird because Joe Biden insisted that Hunter Biden was innocent.
He did not do a single thing wrong, as everybody's investigated. I am not concerned about any accusations been made against him. I'm confident. My son's done nothing wrong. I trust him. I have faith in him. He is the smartest man I know. I mean, in pure intellectual capacity.
But objectively, Hunter is not smart. Must take after his dad. Because last year, Hunter Biden and Joe Biden's Justice Department were negotiating a plea deal where Hunter would have pled guilty to misdemeanor tax offenses and essentially had the gun charges erased. But instead, Hunter Biden got greedy. Hunter Biden and his team insisted that the plea deal include immunity from future criminal charges, which could have included additional tax crimes, as well as violations to the Foreign Agents Registration Act. And even though Hunter Biden was still under investigation, the Department of Justice made the deal anyway. That's how corrupt Biden's DOJ is. But thankfully, U.S. District Judge Mary Ellen Norica, who presided over the case, saw what was going on and was like, yeah, I'm not rubber stamping this. In other words, the DOJ got caught giving Joe Biden's son a sweetheart deal that no one else in America would ever receive, and they were forced to go back to the drawing board. The Washington Post reported that the DOJ insisted that any immunity offered in the revised plea deal had to be narrow because the FBI continued to investigate Hunter's shady work for foreign entities. But Hunter Biden demanded that any agreement made should put his legal troubles behind him.
The two parties sat down and tried to continue negotiating. And at the end of the day, the Hunter Biden team was not satisfied with the level of immunity that the prosecution was willing to offer. And so they took their chances at trial. And in retrospect, that seems to be a catastrophic decision because Hunter Biden is now guilty of felonies.
They had a plea deal that they could have taken, but because they wouldn't grant him total immunity, even over the tax charges, any other charges, they rejected it. In retrospect, seems like really bad lawyering.
Oh man, when you lose MSNBC, you know you screwed up. So hours after Hunter Biden's conviction, Joe Biden gave a campaign speech, and the timing couldn't have been worse.
And by the way, it's time we establish universal background checks.
That's right, Joe Biden screaming about gun control right after his son Hunter was found guilty of 3 felony gun crimes.
Ha, the ironing is delicious.
Of course, this is the same Joe Biden who creepily whispers that the rich need to pay their fair share in taxes while his deadbeat drug addict son allegedly engaged in a 4-year scheme to not pay at least $1.4 million in income taxes.
Pay your fair share. Pay your fair share. Pay your fair share.
So to be clear, Joe Biden demands that you pay your fair share, but when it comes to his son, not so much.
But I'm asking you one simple question. Just pay your fair share. Pay your fair share, that's all. That's it. Just your fair share.
Anyway, at the gun control event, Joe Biden, who took an oath to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States, spent much of his time lying about it.
There's never been a time that says you can own anything you want. You couldn't own a cannon during the Civil War. No, I'm serious, think about it.
But that's not true. The Second Amendment not only doesn't prohibit anyone from owning a cannon, but you can buy a cannon right now if you want. And throughout his first and, God willing, last term, Joe Biden has continually made this false claim.
Look, folks, the situation is simple. You know, when we passed the Second Amendment, guess what? You weren't allowed to have a cannon. No, I'm serious, not a joke. It's just kind of amazing. They think that you could have anything. That never was the case. There have always been limitations on what you could purchase.
And despite having been repeatedly fact-checked and being told that it's a lie, Joe Biden insists on telling it anyway. Because truth over facts, right, Democrats?
Who in God's name needs a magazine which can hold 200 shells? Nobody, that's right.
So for the record, a magazine for a firearm that holds 200 shells is not real. It's a thing that only exists in Joe Biden's addled brain. Sad, really.
Think about it. How much have you heard this phrase? The blood of liberty. Wash of dough. Give me a break. No, I mean it, seriously.
First of all, it's not a phrase. It's a Thomas Jefferson quote that A, Joe Biden couldn't even bother to say in its entirety, and B, he mangled it anyway because he's Joe Biden. It's not the blood of liberty. It's the tree of liberty must be refreshed from time to time with the blood of patriots and tyrants.
And by the way, if they want to think to take on government if we get out of line, which they're talking again about, well, guess what? They need F-15s. They don't need a rifle.
Mark Oliva from the National Shooting Sports Foundation put it best when he wrote the following. This talk of an American president openly suggesting that he would use actual instruments of war against citizens of the United States is beyond callous. It is dangerous and must be rebuked. The president is beholden to the people. He serves the people. The threat of war on them by the federal government is the very reason the Second Amendment exists. And throughout his residency, Joe Biden has made this disgusting remark several times. Here's a flashback.
Well, guess what, man? I didn't see a whole lot of patriots that are out there walking around making sure that we have these weapons. Well, and if you really want to worry about the government, you need an F-16. You don't need a AR-15. No, I'm serious when you think about it. I'm not joking, because that's one of the arguments made by right, that we need to be able to protect ourselves against the government. Well, look.
So Joe Biden claims that if you want to take on the government, you're going to need more than firearms. But on the other hand, Brandon and the Democrats continue to insist that a bunch of unarmed rioters on J6 nearly brought down the government and pushed democracy to the brink. Makes sense to me. What's your problem? Anyway, that's it for now. Please follow me on Twitter at Don't Walk Run. And while you're at it, please subscribe to the channel. As always, thanks for tuning in, and I hope to see you next time, if there is next time.